Hello people, it is me, Mechanic Dave. This time I'm going to be showing you how to install a nitrous system on a carbureted application. And what better guinea pig than a Fox Body Mustang. Okay, so this is a Nitrous Express mainline kit. It is the cheapest kit that you can buy. I think it was like 600 something bucks before shipping. And I mean, this is cheap horsepower at its finest. So what you get is a 10-pound bottle. You get your base plate, some 4AN line, you get your nitrous solenoids, nitrous jets, and that's really all you get. In order to make this drag strip, or not drag strip legal, NHRA legal, you have to go and order a blowdown tube and a couple other little things. And I have the purge valve kit from Nitrous Express coming, so we'll show you that in a little bit. So it comes with instructions on a little business card, so you just scan it and go for it. So I already have my jets picked out. We'll go over that in a little bit. But yeah, let's get to it. So the first thing you're going to want to do is mount the bottle. Now, you want to have it elevated with the tall end towards the top of the bottle. So I did that. I added some little cushioning on it so it doesn't scratch the bottle too much. And then we screwed it into place. Now, selecting where you're going to mount your nitrous is pretty important. Because you're drilling a bunch of holes. You don't want to drill into anything fuel or electrical related. So I picked this area out. It's pretty close to where there's nothing really going on. And then don't mind all the tiny little holes being drilled. Those have been there a while. But then you're going to want to drill this one big hole. Can't remember what size, and that is going to fit the blowdown tube. So let's get the bottle installed first. So for demonstration purposes, I'm leaving the bottle a little loose just so it's easier to get the blowdown tube and everything in. And I loosely put my trim in there so I know I'm not hitting anything. I can go and open the valve, get it back in place. Bottle comes completely empty, so you will have to go fill that. What you're gonna wanna do to get started is you're gonna wanna remove this fitting. Now, in this fitting, take it off, is a pressure release disc that's rated up for 3,000 PSI. And if this ruptures, if there's an issue, it blows out of there. But the problem is it's going to blow out into the entire cab of the vehicle. And we don't want that because you'll pass out and it's very dangerous. So you gotta toss that to the side. And then you throw in another pressure disc, and then you get this, you get this adapter. So this is for a lightning bottle, but it threads right in. So what you want to do is just thread that on in there. Come on, there it goes. And then you'll tighten it down later. So if that pressure disc erupts, nitrous comes out of that hole and then into the blowdown tube, out of that hole and under the underside of the vehicle where it can't harm anybody. I'm probably going to hog this hole out a little bit larger and put a grommet in there. But that is that. And then you take your blowdown tube, put it right in the hole, and then it just threads right on like that. And then boom. All right, now on to feeding the nitrous up into your engine. So now what we're gonna do is take this 4AN line, I think it's about 10 feet, so it's got plenty of room to get up into the engine bay. And then you wanna take this big honkin' nut, and then this adapter, and that obviously threads right in there, and then that holds it into the bottle. So let's get that installed. Yes. That's there, and then you get your 4AN line, and then hook it up there, and now you figure out where is it gonna go. Is it gonna go underneath the vehicle? Is it gonna go inside the vehicle? I gotta figure that part out now. Okay, so here's what we did. There was already a hole there that had a plug in it. which feeds power and ground to the electric fuel pump. So I widened that hole with carefully drilling it out and then beating the hole smooth and round and wider with a 1/2 inch extension, and then did the same underneath because it goes through a channel, and then ran the line through there. So it'll be covered by carpet like that, so all you'll see is the line going into the carpet. But that's basically how the bottle setup is going to be. It's all nice and tight at the bottle. All the fittings are still loose, but basically you just come back here, open the hatch, open the bottle. There's no nitrous in it, but open up the bottle and then you're good to run. And then you go up front and purge it out. And once you purge it, nitrous is now from the line all the way up to the engine bay, and then you just hit the button and go. So right now I just gotta run the AN line all the way into the car, probably following the fuel line and then going up into the engine compartment, where we will then hook up the base plate and the solenoids. All right, it's run, zip tied, and drilled a hole right into there and widened up the area up here so it runs up along there, over here, and we'll have the nitrous solenoid and the purge valve right over there. All right, so now that the nitrous line is run, we're gonna remove the carburetor. It needs a rebuild, so I'm just gonna install it, but not really hook it all back up, just for mock-up purposes only, pretty much. This carb needs to be rebuilt. It's leaking a bunch of gas. I'm gonna be rejetting it. Not quite sure what I'll be rejetting it to, but I have a full jet kit from Holley that'll work for this Brawler 650. So we're gonna go ahead and remove the 4 nuts and get it all up, and then we will be installing the base plate, the nitrous solenoid, the fuel solenoid, our jets, and then our lines. So stay tuned. So now, go over here to our base plate, and obviously we're gonna replace gaskets. That's basically just gonna drop on there like that. So one thing I didn't necessarily take into consideration was the purge valve kit, and I would put the purge valve right there, which is more than the AN line can really stretch, and I don't want it at too extreme of an angle. So what I did was I flipped the plate around, so the fuel is at the front, the nitrous is at the back. So the fuel in from the filter goes right there to the carb. What I'm gonna do is lengthen this piece of hose, moving the filter downward, and then we'll have a T coming off of there. And then with the new fuel system, I'll have a pressure regulator. So ideally on the nitrous, I want this thing to be reading 6 PSI up here, which means if it's reading 6 PSI there, it's 6 PSI there. So that'll be adequate for the nitrous. And then, oh Jesus Christ, who put that there? And then on the back, I mean, I'll have plenty of room for the nitrous solenoid and the purge valve kit. I might just adjust where the AN line goes, and it'll be at most something like that, probably a little bit neater looking. All right, so I just have everything sitting in place right now. The nitrous solenoids aren't hooked up to anything, but it is connected to the line. And then I have this, let me get this out of the way because it's trying to focus. I have a nice ANT, 4 AN male and female to 8 NPT. This is our main nitrous solenoid that then goes to the plate. This is the purge valve, and I made my own line for the purge valve, so it'll come out of the wiper cowl and be kind of stealth. Had to use some brake line, some old, just generic brake line, because that's the tube they give you, and it's not very long. And I don't know if they want it, they just thought it was just going to be right there or what. I'd like it to exit the vehicle if possible. So got all that bent up. Nothing's crimped in place yet. I think that's going to be one of the last things, is actually crimping the purge line. But I can get it all wired up. So I installed all the solenoids, got everything wired up, and made a plug so you can just unplug everything and pull the whole system out. And it's all tucked away. Is it pretty? No. Is it functional? Yeah, who knows? All right, so the wide open throttle switch came in, and I have it mounted right there. Where's it supposed to mount? Well, in the video on YouTube from Nitrous Express, it shows it mounted here, and then coming off of a bracket with this little guy here, hitting the switch, click, 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 over here. Well, that didn't work because I have all this shit right there. So everybody online said, oh, it goes on the other side. It hits the secondary, hit it. Well, they mount it here and have this bracket hit it, which would work fine if there wasn't an electric choke. So because of all of these fucking things, what I ended up having to do was get in there a little bit. See that middle bracket? That was a drive shaft bolt retainer bracket for a Mercury Mountaineer. And I cut the ends off of it, drilled small holes, and made it an extension bracket for the regular L bracket, and then bolted the switch to it, and then mounted this little tab to the bottom here. Everything's been Loctited, and now when you go full throttle, hits it. And it doesn't activate until it is fully wide open. So hopefully that works. I haven't checked it at the pedal yet. The wires, by the way, those tabs are smaller than just regular spade terminals. So I had to crimp these inwards, and they're too big for the micro spade terminals. So that was fun. But everything is mounted. Everything's been blue Loctited. So now what I'm going to do is neaten up the wires, put another tab back there, just like that holds right there. And the wires will come in up there. And it has switched power and then power out. And that switch should complete the circuit. Now you need to just run the ground wire to interrupt with the clutch being in and out. So I can sit on the two-step, let off, and then immediately into the nitrous. So, but one thing I know, because I ran the car the other day just briefly to move it out of the garage, is that lower carb gasket, I never replaced it. I replaced the upper one, but the bottom one I think is leaking. So I have to replace that gasket. And I'm scared that if I replace that one and not the top one that's brand new, just installed, it's going to start leaking again. So I might have to go get two new carb gaskets for this thing. Then I need to buy a rebuild kit for the carburetor because it still pours fuel. I tightened up all the bolts, and that did not make a difference. The fuel filter leaks, but the whole fuel line and filter are going to get changed out anyways, so I really don't care. It's going to have the filter down here, a T that then comes up to feed the carburetor and feed the fuel solenoid. So that's pretty much it for the Nitrous. Now it's just a matter of installing the purge line, which I don't want to do until I have everything painted and whatnot and actually mounted where I want it to be, and then fill the bottle, which is probably going to be like 110, 120 bucks. And that's all there is to installing a nitrous system. So not super hard, not super easy, but kind of a good in between. So hope you liked the video. Make sure to like and subscribe and follow for more. Thanks.